John Murdoch wakes up in a hotel bathroom, confused and in pink water. He finds a suitcase labeled KH and has vague beach memories. Dr. Schreiber calls, telling John his memory was wiped in a failed experiment and that people are coming for him. John discovers a dead woman with spirals cut into her and the murder weapon. As he leaves, shadowy figures arrive and people start waking up. The clerk informs John his wallet was found at an automat and his stay is over. John throws the suitcase in the water. The clerk is ambushed by strangers who put him to sleep. Emma Murdoch, singing in a noir club, is contacted by Dr. Schreiber, who warns her that John might be dangerous due to a psychotic break and advises her to contact him if she hears from John. John wanders around trying to remember his name. Inspector Frank Bumstead arrives at the hotel where a clerk recounts John's wallet interaction. Bumstead heads to John's room while John enters the bizarre automat, a human-run vending machine. Nervous at the sight of cops, John breaks a window with his mind. May steps in to help him. Bumstead and Officer Hustleback investigate the thing, noting it's the 6th similar murder. Bumstead wonders why a serial killer would save a goldfish. Officer Walensky bursts in, claiming they're being watched. Bumstead inspects his conspiracy-filled office and meets Emma, who doesn't recognize the victims. Bumstead suggests John may have killed them all, but Emma is skeptical. While May undresses, John discovers a photo of Emma in his wallet, a person he doesn't recall but hopes is still alive. They confirm his name as John, and May reveals herself. John questions May's lack of fear towards the killer on the loose, to which she replies that he doesn't seem like a murderer. John leaves and stumbles upon a Shell Beach billboard. He uncovers articles about the murders in his pockets and is approached by the strangers. Despite their attempts to subdue him, a confrontation ensues, leading to a violent struggle. During the chaos, John displays telekinetic abilities, surprising the strangers. As the situation escalates, a monstrous entity is revealed inside one of the strangers' heads. John escapes underground, where a group of strangers gathers to discuss him, emphasizing the importance of capturing him alive. Upon Emma's return, she encounters John, who claims amnesia regarding his identity. Emma informs him that Schreiber is searching for him, linking his doctor visits to discussions about her affair and their marriage. Despite being suspected of murder by the police, John is convinced of his innocence after not harming May. He notices Inspector Bumstead outside and evades him with Emma's help. A chase through stairwells ensues, ending with John creating an exit and fleeing, inadvertently leaving his Schreiber card behind. John flees in a taxi and spots a Shell Beach snow globe inside. The driver mentions honeymooning there but is puzzled that he can't recall the route. Bumstead confides in Schreiber, feeling John isn't a typical killer, though Schreiber trusts his judgment. As Bumstead dismisses the officer, John tails him to Walensky's residence. Walensky, engrossed in cryptic activities, hints at a perplexing case with elusive details and a disintegrating past. He shares the city has no clear exit. Observing a mysterious door manifest for Schreiber, John witnesses the dark chamber where the strangers craft personal belongings of the city's residents. During the strangers' collective tuning session, as the clock strikes midnight, everyone except John falls into a deep slumber. John grows anxious as he struggles to rouse them, witnessing new structures emerge as old ones vanish. As the city transformed beyond recognition, John witnesses Schreiber and the strangers transporting an individual to a barbershop for memory injections. Realizing this process is widespread, John observes Schreiber orchestrating a destitute family's sudden rise to affluence and later confronts the doctor outside. In a fit of anger, John propels Schreiber through the air, prompting the doctor to provide a brief explanation about tuning. He expresses a desire to train John to reclaim the city from the strangers, but John chooses to flee instead. The city resumes its operations, with inhabitants leading entirely different lives, and the strangers seize Schreiber. Murdoch's unexpected abilities have disrupted the strangers' collective consciousness, resulting in incomplete sections within the city. This development alarms the strangers, leading Mr. Hand to inject himself with Murdoch's memories to aid in tracking him down. Upon imprinting, Mr. Hand swiftly experiences Murdoch's diverse life events, from happiness to tragedy to violence, gearing up to commence the search. John examines a postcard signed by Carl Harris, whose initials match those on a suitcase he possesses. Seeking directions, he approaches a vendor who turns out to be the former hotel clerk. Meanwhile, the strangers pay a visit to May, and Murdoch pinpoints Shell Beach on a map. The search leads to a dead end at May's place, frustrating some of the strangers who consider it a fruitless endeavor. Mr. Hand's pursuit of leads, including Murdoch's failed subway escapade to Shell Beach, proves unproductive. Encountering Walensky, John learns about the stranger's incessant manipulation of memories and how he, like Walensky, awoke during this process. Walensky forewarns of the stranger's impending pursuit and dramatically opts for a fatal escape by throwing himself in front of a train. Subsequently, the strangers inspect a property intended for John and Emma, prompting John to sift through his recollections for a potentially sentimental spot where Emma might be located. He meets her, shares a fairy tale memory of John's, and then departs. This prompts Emma to investigate May's place while John resumes his search for Carl Harris. John breaks into an aquarium, where Emma discovers May's murder, indicating the strangers as the culprits, not John. Bumstead, trailing Emma, finds her while John locates Carl, his uncle, who shows him childhood slides from Shell Beach but can't recall the way there. Learning his parents died in a fire, John notices the absence of fire scars, realizing his memories are false. Emma suspects John, and Bumstead's forgotten accordion origin supports Walensky's claims. Carl guides John to his childhood room, where John questions the perpetual darkness since awakening, but Carl attributes it to fatigue before retiring. Carl notifies Emma about John's behavior, aiding Mr. Hand in tracking them. Night falls. John sees the strangers approaching, hindered by the shifting landscape, and Mr. Hand catches up. Murdoch defeats the stranger, who reveals the city is crafted from people's memories, altered nightly for learning purposes. The strangers aspire to become more human. Mr. Hand discloses their use of deceased humans as vessels, initiating a confrontation before being separated by a new structure. Further chaotic alterations lead to a stranger's demise. John escapes through a mysterious door, encountering Mr. Sleep, compelling him to leap to safety. Amidst the city's reboot, John is surrounded by strangers, but he is rescued by Bumstead and Emma. During interrogation, John cannot explain dead May's absence or a suddenly filled childhood drawing book. Bumstead, familiar with Shell Beach, struggles to recall the way there or his last encounter with sunlight. While he insists on the stranger's control, the officer seeks a rational explanation for the events. John demonstrates his newfound telekinetic abilities, leading to a heart-to-heart with Emma. She expresses regret for the affair, but John suspects it's another artificially created memory. Pondering the authenticity of their relationship and memories, he questions if they are truly a couple or mere strangers with manufactured pasts. Emma believes their love is genuine, and John uses his powers to break glass, sealing the moment with a kiss. As the strangers initiate their assault, the captain guides them to Murdoch, but Bumstead has already evacuated him. John locates Schreiber by the pool, learning the strangers fear water, explaining Schreiber's frequent presence there. Schreiber discloses their involvement in an experiment, pointing a gun at John and urging him to inject himself with a syringe for comprehension. Emerging from hiding, Bumstead intervenes, disarming Schreiber as John retains the syringe. Intent on reaching Shell Beach, they encounter Schreiber's reluctance, warning of impending danger there. Arriving at a former bridge location, they embark on a canoe journey. Emma encounters the strangers, who ominously suggest they have plans for her. Schreiber reveals the strangers are extraterrestrials who have abducted the city's residents to study human uniqueness by blending their memories. For their research on human behavior, they implanted John with fabricated memories, crafting a new identity and scenarios to test if a self-perceived murderer would continue to kill. Schreiber discloses John's multiple lives in the city, awakening this time in a murderer's role. The strangers seek to grasp the origins of individuality and the human soul. John acquires a connection to the strangers, elucidating their subterranean machines for telepathic abilities. They manipulate all aspects of the city, including the perpetual darkness due to their aversion to light. Schreiber was permitted to retain his scientific role in exchange for assisting strangers in understanding human behavior. Their identities are a patchwork of numerous human memories. Bumstead questions their origin, but even Schreiber is uncertain. Upon reaching a peculiar tunnel leading to a Shell Beach mural, Schreiber claims there is nothing beyond the city except in the mind. Murdoch and Bumstead refute this assertion, breaking through the mural. John, using his extraordinary abilities, reveals the city is actually a colossal spaceship with only outer space beyond. Mr. Hand and his companions arrive, leading to a confrontation where Bumstead starts shooting. In a struggle, Bumstead and Mr. Wall are propelled into space, confirming the city's true nature. They urge John to surrender to save Emma, rendering him unconscious. Descending into the stranger's lair where they seek his demise, Mr. Book recognizes John's potential to advance their research, transitioning into a phase where they merge with him. As they begin shutting down the city forever, Schreiber discloses that he will be imprinted with the Hive's collective memory. However, Schreiber has an alternative agenda, injecting Murdoch with a syringe containing fabricated memories of a childhood where he was trained to combat strangers. To defeat them, John must seize control of their technology, but the strangers are onto Schreiber's scheme. John wakes up, liberates himself and Schreiber, and engages in a telekinetic confrontation with Mr. Book. The intense exchange escalates into a destructive stalemate. Many strangers perish due to falling debris or being drawn into space, while distorted buildings spring up across the city. Hovering above the city, John and Mr. Book face off. When Mr. Book hurls a knife, John intercepts it, redirecting it back towards Mr. Book. Manipulating a water tower, John causes a significant splash as Mr. Book collides with it. The water exposes Book's true form, leading to his demise. Inquiring about Emma, John discovers she has been imprinted with a new persona, irreversible due to the destruction of their lab in the conflict. Determined to enact change, John initiates flooding around the city to reshape the world. He activates the clock and heads to Shell Beach. Meanwhile, Emma, now known as Anna, wakes up and goes home from work. Mountains start to rise from the ocean, and a dying Mr. Hand approaches John. Imprinting John's memories was always going to be fatal for him, but he needed to understand what it meant to be human. However, Murdoch explains that Mr. Hand only experienced what he was programmed to feel. John then turns the city towards the star they had been facing away from and steps outside, where he finds Anna at the pier. Anna is heading to Shell Beach and invites John to join her. They introduce themselves and walk off into the sunset together.